First Contact and the Patronizing Alliance. The massive ship appeared without warning, materializing above Earth's atmosphere like a metallic island in the sky. For 3 days, it simply hung there, silent and watchful, as humanity's governments scrambled in panic below. Fighter jets were scrambled, nuclear weapons were readied, and prayers were offered to every deity humanity had ever worshipped. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the observation deck of the International Space Station, watching the alien vessel through reinforced glass. At 42, she had spent half her life in space, commanding missions to the Moon and Mars, but nothing in her extensive training had prepared her for this moment. "Houston wants us to maintain position and continue observation," her communications officer reported. "All attempts at contact have gone unanswered." Elena nodded, her dark eyes never leaving the gleaming hull of the alien craft. "They didn't come all this way to ignore us," she said softly. "They're waiting for something." That something came on the 4th day. The alien vessel finally transmitted, not to governments or military installations, but to every electronic device on Earth simultaneously. The message was simple: "We come in peace. We are the Galactic Alliance. We wish to help." 2 weeks later, Elena found herself sitting in a converted conference room at the United Nations, representing Earth's combined space agencies in discussions with beings from another world. The Alliance representatives, sleek, silver-skinned humanoids with elongated limbs and oversized eyes, referred to themselves as the Arcanians. "Your species is remarkably adaptable," said Diplomat Thorin, the lead Arcanian representative. His voice had an artificial quality, processed through translation technology. "Most developing worlds take centuries to adjust to first contact." Elena forced a polite smile. "We've been imagining this moment for generations." "Yes, your fiction. Quite creative for such a young civilization." Thorin's lips didn't move when he spoke. Instead, color patterns rippled across his silver skin. "Our scans indicate your species has only achieved technological society within the last 10,000 years, barely a moment in cosmic time." There was something in his tone that bothered Elena, a condescension that reminded her of colonial Europeans describing indigenous peoples. The Alliance had arrived with offers of advanced technology, medical breakthroughs, and solutions to climate change. Their generosity seemed limitless, but so did their certainty of humanity's inferiority. "We're eager to learn," Elena said carefully, "but we also have much to offer in return." Thorin's skin rippled in what Elena had come to recognize as amusement. "Of course, cultural exchange is valued by the Alliance. Your art, music, and unique perspective will enrich our collective knowledge." The meeting continued with discussions of technological transfers and educational programs. The Alliance would establish outposts on Mars and Europa to help humanity expand through the solar system. Under their guidance, of course. Everything would be done according to the Natural Development Protocol, ensuring Earth's culture wasn't overwhelmed by sudden advancement. 6 months after first contact, Elena found herself commanding the first joint Human-Alliance mission to Mars. Their primary objective was to establish a permanent research base near the planet's North Pole, where subterranean ice could be converted to water, oxygen, and fuel. The Arcanian scientist, Kellis, supervised as Elena's team deployed drilling equipment. "Your species adapts quickly to new technology," Kellis observed. "Most Level 2 civilizations required decades to master these techniques." Elena had grown accustomed to these backhanded compliments. "We're quick studies," she replied, adjusting the controls on the drilling platform. The machine hummed to life, its diamond-tipped bore beginning its descent into the Martian soil. Captain Rice called Dr. Sarah Chen, the team's geologist. "I'm getting strange readings from the ground-penetrating radar." Elena moved to Chen's monitoring station, studying the display. "What am I looking at?" "There's something beneath us, about 30 meters down. It's too regular to be natural." Chen pointed to a perfectly straight line on the readout. "That's not a geological formation." Kellis peered over their shoulders, his skin pulsing with rapid color changes. "Fascinating. Perhaps a dense mineral deposit. No, Chen said firmly. This is artificial. A structure of some kind. Elena felt a chill run through her that had nothing to do with the Martian cold. We need to adjust our drilling location. Let's find out what's down there. I'm sure it's merely a sensor malfunction, Kellis interrupted, moving toward the communication station. We'll recalibrate and continue tomorrow. That night, as the team slept in their pressurized habitation modules, Elena remained awake, reviewing the radar data. The more she studied it, the more convinced she became that they had found something significant, and the more suspicious she grew of Kellis's reaction. Using her command override, she accessed the communication logs and discovered that Kellis had sent an encrypted message to the Alliance mothership immediately after seeing the radar results. The response came within minutes. Implement Protocol 17B, divert attention. Secure site for specialist team. Elena's instincts as both a scientist and a soldier told her something was very wrong. The Alliance had been forthcoming with technology and knowledge, but always within carefully controlled boundaries. They shared star charts but restricted information about nearby habitable worlds. They provided medical advances but maintained control of the production process. At 300 hours, when the base was at minimum staffing, Elena suited up and made her way to the drilling site. Dr. Chen was already there, looking nervous but determined. I can't access the radar equipment, Chen whispered. They've locked us out. Then we'll use the backup systems, Elena replied, pulling a portable scanner from her pack. The old-fashioned way. For 3 hours, they worked in silence, remapping the anomaly and calculating a safe approach. Finally, Elena programmed a small autonomous drilling probe, one of their own design, not Alliance technology. This goes against direct orders, Chen said, though she made no move to stop the process. Sometimes you have to break the rules to find the truth, Elena replied as the probe disappeared into the rusty soil. At 28 meters, the probe's camera activated, revealing something impossible. A smooth metal surface, covered in symbols that looked disturbingly familiar. Those look like... Chen's voice trailed off in disbelief. Human writing. Elena finished for her. Ancient Sumerian cuneiform, but different. Before they could process this discovery, alarms blared across the base. Through their helmet comms, they heard Kellis's voice. Unauthorized drilling detected. All personnel return to habitation immediately. This is a direct order. Elena downloaded the probe's data to her secure tablet and recalled the device. We need to get back before. She never finished her sentence. A blinding light engulfed the drilling site, and both women lost consciousness. When Elena awoke in the medical bay, Alliance Dr. Mira stood over her, face impassive. You experienced a pressure anomaly in your suit, the alien explained. Hallucinations are common in such incidents. I know what I saw, Elena said firmly. There's a structure under the Martian surface with human writing on it. Mira's skin flickered with rapid patterns. That's impossible. Humans never visited Mars before your current space program. The radiation sickness has affected your perception. Radiation sickness. I was perfectly fine until... Rest now, Mira interrupted, administering an injection that sent Elena spiraling back into darkness. When she woke again, Dr. Chen was sitting beside her bed, looking pale and drawn. They're saying we had equipment malfunctions, Chen whispered. That the readings were false. You saw what I saw, Elena insisted. Chen glanced nervously toward the door. I don't remember anything clearly now. They said the exposure affected my memory. Elena realized with growing horror that Chen had been altered somehow. Her memory of the discovery erased or modified. The implication was terrifying. The Alliance had technology that could manipulate human minds, and they used it without hesitation. 2 days later, Elena was declared fit for duty, but reassigned to orbital operations. The drilling project continued under full Alliance supervision, with a new location selected several kilometers from the original site. Dr. Chen was sent back to Earth for medical reasons. Elena bided her time, gathering allies among the human crew who had grown similarly suspicious of Alliance restrictions. Together, they began a covert investigation, collecting inconsistencies in the Alliance's account of galactic history. Their breakthrough came 3 months later when Lieutenant James Wong, a geologist on the Europa mission, smuggled out core samples containing unmistakable machine components embedded in ice that was at least 50,000 years old. "These aren't alien tech," Wong told Elena during a secure transmission. "The metallurgical composition is based on elements found on Earth. It's human-made, Captain, but it can't possibly be human-made." The paradox haunted Elena as she stared at the images Wong had sent. If humans had achieved spaceflight 50,000 years ago, why had we forgotten? And why was the Alliance so determined to hide this truth? The answer came from an unexpected source. Nyala, a junior Arcanian scientist who had grown close to the human team, approached Elena in the station's hydroponics garden. "Your species is not what you've been told," Nyala whispered, her skin pulsing with nervous energy. "The Alliance Council forbids this knowledge, but there are those of us who believe in truth above protocol." Nyala slipped Elena a data crystal. "This contains restricted historical archives. Find a secure terminal and learn your true heritage. But be careful, if they discover you have this information, they will erase it from your mind." That night, behind locked doors and electromagnetic shields, Elena accessed the crystal's contents. What she found changed everything she thought she knew about human history and the galaxy itself. The Forgotten Empire. The data crystal contained thousands of historical records stored in Alliance archives, records that had been deliberately kept from Earth's representatives. Elena spent hours absorbing the impossible truth about humanity's past. According to the oldest Alliance records, humans hadn't evolved on Earth at all. 50,000 years ago, a vast interstellar civilization, known as the Terran Ecumen, had dominated a third of the known galaxy. Earth wasn't humanity's cradle. It was one of hundreds of human-settled worlds, a minor agricultural colony on the Empire's periphery. The records showed humans commanding fleets of ships that dwarfed anything the Alliance now possessed. Archaeological surveys documented human outposts, stations, and artifacts scattered across thousands of light years. The technology described in these ancient accounts surpassed even what the Alliance had shared with Earth. Then came the war. The historical records grew fragmentary, but suggested a conflict of apocalyptic proportions. The Terran Ecumen had developed something called consciousness technology, the ability to digitize and transfer human consciousness between bodies or into synthetic forms. This breakthrough had terrified other spacefaring species, who formed the first iteration of what would become the Alliance to oppose humanity's expansion. The war had lasted decades, ending with a desperate scorched earth campaign by the Alliance. Human worlds were systematically bombed, their technology destroyed, their surviving populations genetically altered to prevent the development of certain neural pathways. On Earth, the devastation had been particularly thorough. The small colony had been reduced to pre-agricultural hunter-gatherers, with specialized retroviral agents designed to erase all cultural memory of humanity's stellar origins. The Alliance had then established an observation post in the solar system to ensure humans never remembered their past. Elena sat back, hands trembling as the final document played on her screen, an ancient recording of the Alliance Council declaring the Human Containment Protocol. A solemn voice announced, "Never again will humans threaten the galaxy. We will guide their redevelopment, ensuring they become a species that values cooperation over dominance. Earth will be monitored until they achieve space travel once more, at which point they will be welcomed into the Alliance as grateful juniors, never knowing they once ruled the stars." The recording ended, leaving Elena in stunned silence. Everything made sense now. The condescension, the carefully controlled gifts of technology, the immediate containment of discoveries that contradicted the official narrative. Earth wasn't being uplifted by benevolent aliens. It was being kept under control by fearful former enemies. Dawn found Elena with red-rimmed eyes and a resolute expression. She called a secret meeting of her most trusted human colleagues, sharing what she had learned. The revelation hit them like a physical blow. Anger, disbelief, and a profound sense of loss rippled through the small group. "We need proof beyond this data crystal," said Commander Jackson, the station's security chief. "Something tangible that Earth's governments can't ignore." "The structure on Mars," Alina said firmly, "and the artifacts on Europa. They're just the beginning. There must be more, repositories of ancient human technology that escaped the Alliance's purge." "They're watching us too closely," objected Dr. Malik, the team's xenobiologist. "We'll never get back to those sites without them knowing." A plan began to form in Alina's mind. "We don't go back to the known sites. We look for new ones, places the Alliance might have missed." Using the historical data as a guide, Alina identified several locations in the outer solar system where ancient human outposts might have survived. The challenge was getting there without Alliance supervision. The opportunity came when a massive solar flare disrupted communications, creating a 12-hour window during which the human team could move without oversight. Alina led a small expedition in one of the hybrid shuttles, ostensibly to check radiation damage to satellite arrays. Instead, they plotted a course for the asteroid belt, where the ancient record suggested a monitoring station had once been located. After 5 tense hours of searching, their sensors detected an anomaly, a perfectly spherical asteroid approximately 2 kilometers in diameter. Scans revealed it wasn't an asteroid at all, but an artificial structure covered in regolith and ice, effectively camouflaged against detection. "How do we get inside?" asked Lieutenant Kamara, the shuttle's pilot. "If this was built by our ancestors," Alina replied, "then it should recognize us." She guided the shuttle to a smooth section of the asteroid's surface and activated the external floodlights. There, barely visible beneath the dust of millennia, was a familiar pattern, the same cuneiform-like symbols they had found on Mars. "Broadcast on all frequencies," Alina ordered. Simple mathematical sequences, prime numbers, the Fibonacci sequence, anything the human civilization would recognize as intelligent communication. For 15 minutes, they transmitted without response. Then, just as they were preparing to try a direct physical approach, the surface beneath them shifted. Dust and ice fell away as an enormous door rised open, revealing a docking bay designed for vessels much larger than their shuttle. "Take us in," Alina whispered, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and anticipation. The bay was pressurized, though the atmosphere was thin and stale. Wearing environment suits, Alina's team ventured into corridors that had lain untouched for 50 millennia. Incredibly, emergency lighting still functioned, casting an eerie blue glow over surfaces that showed no corrosion or decay. "The preservation is impossible," Dr. Malik murmured, running a scanner over the walls. "These materials shouldn't have survived this long without degradation." They found the station's control center, a circular chamber with viewing portals that offered a spectacular view of the asteroid belt. Dormant consoles lined the walls, their designs both familiar and alien. "Can we activate any of this?" Commander Jackson asked. Before anyone could respond, the chamber hummed to life around them. Displays illuminated, and a voice spoke, in perfect, unaccented English. "Human life signs detected. Initiating emergency protocol. Welcome, descendants." A holographic figure materialized in the center of the room, a woman in a uniform unlike anything they'd seen before, her expression solemn but kind. "I am Admiral Ileana Wright, Terran Ecumene Defense Force. If you are receiving this message, then our worst fears have been realized. The Alliance has won the war, and human civilization has fallen." Alina stepped forward. "We're from Earth. We've been told our civilization is only 10,000 years old." The hologram's expression hardened. Another Alliance lie. This station was constructed as a time capsule, one of hundreds scattered throughout human space, designed to survive the Alliance's purge protocols. We knew they would attempt to erase not just our technology, but our very memory of who we were. Over the next few hours, the holographic program shared the true history of humanity, a spacefaring civilization that had expanded from Earth nearly 100,000 years ago, establishing colonies and outposts across thousands of worlds. Humanity had developed technologies that other species found threatening: artificial intelligence, consciousness transfer, and eventually, the ability to manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe itself. It wasn't conquest that frightened them, Admiral Wright's hologram explained. It was transcendence. We were approaching a technological singularity that would have transformed humanity into something beyond physical form. The Alliance species believed such evolution was unnatural, an abomination that threatened the balance of the galaxy. The station contained more than information. Deep within its core, protected by fields that had kept time itself at bay, they found a repository of ancient human technology. Devices that could manipulate gravity, generate limitless energy, and even reshape matter at the atomic level. This is just one vault, the hologram told them. There are others throughout the solar system and beyond, waiting for humanity to reclaim its heritage. As Elena held a device smaller than her palm that contained the energy equivalent of Earth's entire nuclear arsenal, she understood why the Alliance had been so careful in its guidance of humanity's redevelopment. "They're terrified of what we might become," she whispered. The hologram nodded. "They fear your potential. That is why they came the moment you achieved rudimentary spaceflight, to ensure your development followed their approved path, never approaching the technologies that once made humanity a power among the stars." While alarms sounded through the station, the hologram's expression turned urgent. "Alliance vessels approaching. They've detected your presence." Commander Jackson checked his scanner. 3 ships, heavily armed. "We can't outrun them." "Perhaps you don't need to," the hologram suggested, gesturing toward the ancient technology surrounding them. This station was designed as both archive and fortress. Its defensive systems remain operational. Elena exchanged looks with her team. Using the station's weapons against the Alliance would mean open conflict, a war humanity wasn't prepared to fight. "Is there another way?" she asked. "A way to protect this knowledge without starting another war?" The hologram considered for a moment. "The Awakening Protocol. This station can transmit its database to every electronic device on Earth simultaneously, much as the Alliance did with their first contact message. Humanity would learn the truth all at once, too quickly for the Alliance to suppress." Elena thought of the billions of people on Earth going about their daily lives, unaware that their species had once commanded the stars. The revelation would be devastating, disorienting, but it would also be liberating. "Do it," she ordered. As the station's ancient systems prepared the transmission, the hologram regarded Elena with what seemed like pride. "There is one more thing you should know. The genetic modifications the Alliance made to the survivors on Earth, they were temporary. Each generation born moves closer to our original genetic template. The neural pathways they suppressed have been gradually restoring themselves." "Is that why the Alliance came now?" Elena asked. "Because we're remembering." "Not consciously," the hologram replied, "but in your dreams, your myths, your inexplicable drive to reach the stars despite all obstacles. Humanity has been unconsciously fighting to return to its true nature for 50,000 years." The station hummed with power as the transmission began. On screens throughout the control room, Elena watched as the signal breached Earth's communications networks, flooding every connected device with the truth of humanity's forgotten past. The data would take weeks to fully process and understand, but the revelation was irrevocable. The Alliance ships entered weapons range just as the transmission completed. Elena opened a channel to the lead vessel. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of Earth. We know the truth about our history, about what you did to our ancestors. That knowledge is now spreading to every human on our planet." After a long silence, a familiar voice responded, Diplomat Thorin, his tone lacking its usual condescension. "What have you done, Captain Reyes?" "We've reclaimed our heritage," Elena replied, "not to restart an ancient war, but to ensure that this time, Humans advance on our own terms, not yours. Another silence, then. The Alliance Council will need to meet. This complicates our relationship. Elena smiled grimly. I suggest a new relationship, one based on honesty and mutual respect. Humanity isn't looking for revenge, but we won't accept containment either. We're going to take our place among the stars again, Thorin. The only question is whether we do it as your enemies or your equals. As the Alliance ships withdrew to a safe distance, Elena turned to her team. Their faces reflected her own mix of emotions: pride, anxiety, determination, and something else: hope. Humanity had lost its past once before. This time, they would forge their future with eyes wide open, reclaiming their birthright among the stars not as conquerors or subjects, but as the inheritors of a legacy 50,000 years in the making. As they prepared to return to Earth with samples of the ancient technology, Elena took one last look at the hologram of Admiral Wright, who offered a formal salute. "The stars remember us," the ancient admiral said. "It's time for us to remember them."